Greetings, YouTube. Detailed records about when people are born have been around in different places of the world for a fairly long time. So we have a really good handle on how old people are when they die. But that isn't necessarily true for all time, and it isn't necessarily true even everywhere on the planet today. And we frequently hear about people who are extremely old. People are in the 105 plus range. Now, my wife's grandmother, she lived to be 100 and I think she was 104 when she died. But for the last 3 years of her life or so, she just really wasn't home, which is sad because she was a very intelligent, bright woman. She lived on her own until she was 96, and she was still writing a newspaper article on a regular basis about grammar. She was a grammarian and used to be a school teacher. So that to finally see her drift away was heartbreaking. But sometimes there are people who are like 110, 114, and we don't really have any way of confirming that because a lot of these folks are from places where there aren't solid records. So I'm not saying that they're intentionally committing an act of fraud. I'm sure that some people are. I know there have been cases in the world where family members would not report the death of someone to certain government agencies so that they would continue to receive benefits for their parent who's now gone. So on records, it looks like the person has gotten older and older and older, when in actuality they're just dead and their family has been scamming the government out of funds that their parent used to get because they were alive and using said funds. And now they're dead and they are not using said funds. They're being pocketed by their children or grandchildren. So there have been situations like that where it gives the false sense that there are really a large number of really old people when it's just people scamming the system. But sometimes it's just there aren't solid records. There are places in the world where don't have, really hard and fast rules, at least a long time ago, about when people were born. Not to mention, sometimes countries go through massive upheavals when it comes to political structures. Literally, entire governments can be just overturned multiple times within the lifespan of one person, even if they legitimately live to be 100. So the hard, fast rules aren't going to, hold in this case. Now that we have better records, I think we're going to be able to see how long people can actually live. I think there'll be less of this. There'll be less of, is this person actually 115, or is this person, as old as they say they are, or has their family been scamming the system? I think the systems are better now than they were in the past. They're more reliable, and there's more fact-checking and things like that than there used to be. But it's always intriguing to me to actually see how old someone can be and still maintain their cognitive grip on the world. I know that one of the greatest fears I have is losing myself of dementia. And I have, unfortunately, gotten a chance to see a glimpse of that thanks to COVID. I now have cognitive issues. Sometimes you'll see me in a video and I freeze for a second and I'm trying to think of a word because I can't say the word. It isn't that I don't know the word. I know the word. There's just this word-shaped hole inside my head. I could be looking at the object right in front of me, and I can't say open L, even though I know it's an open L, even though I've held it 100 times, and I own a dozen different varieties of open L, and I've been looking at them in pictures and stories and things for, decades. In that moment, the word open L doesn't exist inside my brain. And it is terrifying. And that is a glimpse of what it could be like for me in the future, or any of us. It is not something I want. So one of the things I do on a regular basis is read. I read nonfiction, I read gaming books, I read news articles, and I'm constantly reading. Every single day of my life for the past 55 years, I have read something. I started reading when I was 5, and I'm 60 now. So the idea of losing that's terrifying to me. And I don't think I'm going to get to be real old. Most of my family members made it into their 80s. That was it. None of us broke 90. I don't think. I can't think of anybody in my family that's lived past 90, except maybe my great grandmother. She may have been past 90, but I'm not positive on that one. But my father didn't. My mother didn't. None of their parents made it past 90. I think the oldest one that was 87. I think. And the rest are gone before then. Whereas my wife's grandmother lived to be 104. So my wife is very likely going to live well past when I will. Not to mention I'm diabetic with a leg that doesn't work, and I have arthritis at 60. So I'm pretty much not going to live to be past 90. But really old people fascinate me. And I think that with better record keeping, we're going to be able to tell how many really old people there are, how well they do, things that help them, and then we hopefully can do the things that help them so that we can stay with us. We can stay mentally spry, even if we are not physically as capable as we once were. So let's talk about really old people. What's the oldest person you ever met? What's the oldest member of your family? Did your parents live to be old? Did your grandparents live to be old? I'm intrigued to know. I'm not really sure how old my father's father would have made it, because he committed suicide. But he had also just been diagnosed with his second bout of cancer. So the probability of him living a whole lot longer after that probably would have been slim anyway. He just didn't want to go through the whole cancer thing a second time, and this time without his wife. So I can understand why he decided that was a route he wanted to take. And I don't judge the man. I didn't walk through in his shoes. It wasn't my decision. And, so hopefully someday I'll get to see him again, and we can have a chat. But I don't judge him for what he did. It's not my place. So let's talk about old people. I find it fascinating, and let's hear what you have to say.